with the alternative factor, we get Star Trek's first foray into a parallel universe. I know you're thinking, no, it was Mirror Mirror. Well, here we have the parallel universe being one of antimatter. Well, that's just one of many, I guess. I suppose, when it comes to an antimatter universe, I kind of thought, and I don't know why DC Comics didn't address this as either. I guess they just didn't think of it when they, did their whole crisis thing and all that. Was that you could have the matter multiverse of positive matter that we live in, and then you could have the antimatter universe, but it's actually an antimatter multiverse. So there's so many different possibilities within a multiverse that is comprised of antimatter. So anyway, the basics of antimatter and matter is that, they can't occupy the same space because when they come in contact, they cancel each other out. So this is the great danger that they face here when they come upon this bizarre madman who appears out of nowhere and tells them that he's being stalked by a heinous monster who destroyed his world and all this sort of stuff. This would be the character of Lazarus. Well, turns out the heinous monster is actually him, rather a alternate universe version of himself from the antimatter world. And they've been in constant battle with one another. As a result of this, it causes all kinds of problems for the entire universe. So it starts off where the Enterprise is on this routine mission, exploring this planet that they deem to be a dead planet. Well, it wasn't always that way, and apparently it was once a world very much like the Earth, but something terrible happened, and it appears to be this fight between Lazarus and his other self from this other universe. Lazarus is a time traveler. His ship, which actually looks kind of cool, it's sitting out there. They just, we never see it in flight or anything like that, but they have the prop sitting there in this desert-looking area that you see repeatedly in Star Trek. That's where Kirk fought the Gorn. But anyway, so they do this, and it goes back and forth. Well, ultimately, we find out that the antimatter guy is actually the better of the two. The one from our universe is just insane, and he can't accept the idea that there is another him. And he's determined to destroy him, even though this could possibly wipe out all existence. And that's why these bizarre, almost like storm-like things keep happening. The Federation suspects it's a weapon being used against them from a possible invader from another dimension and all this stuff. And oh boy, they're all nervous. But it's just these two guys. But the conflict between the two is bridging the gap between the two universes, which is incredibly dangerous. So through their travels and their time machine, if you will, well, not if you will, it's what they say it is. They've managed to, I guess, I don't know, I assume it's already there, this dimensional corridor, doorway between the two universes. And each time they keep phasing in and out between each other and swapping universes, they'll fight it out in there, and they keep trying to stop one another, and it doesn't really work. Ultimately, what has to happen is the corridor has to be shut down. And the only way to keep this from happening again is that the good Lazarus is going to have to hold the bad Lazarus within the corridor. And once it's sealed off, they're trapped there for all eternity. And this is one of those days that when I first saw it, it really stuck in my head. It's like, oh man, they're basically in hell. They're stuck in this just a brief corridor, and they're there to fight for all eternity. And so as this show ends, Spock reminds Kirk the universe is safe, but Kirk says, yeah, but what of Lazarus? He's trapped forever. Even now he's forced to watch Star Trek Picard trapped with that nut clutching at his throat. And but this is one of these things where I referred to Star Trek episodes and the sadness of the current state of it. There's so much material that they could follow up on if they don't have any ideas of their own, which obviously they don't. But I would not want them to, because they don't know how to do it. And here's something where the story of Lazarus here is that, in order to save everybody, he had to be sacrificed and all that, to actually go into a future story where he gets out or something like that. Yeah, just best leave it alone. Unless someone has some really cool idea that I hadn't thought of, that they can make that work into something really entertaining, maybe, but for the most part, it's a one and done deal. And he just has to just try to forget about it. This poor bastard is suffering in this little doorway between universes. Meanwhile, yes, the multiverse continues as we will travel to other universes, and most famously in the Mirror Mirror episode, which was so badly trashed by Star Trek Discovery. But what are you gonna do? Perhaps, Lazarus could escape, and it winks out the universe, meaning none of that happened. Maybe that would be a reason for the two Lazarus guys to break out. And you gotta put them back in. I don't know. And you can wipe out Star Wars and Doctor Who as well, so you can reboot all those. So they won't be so bad. But that'd probably be the only reason to revisit that. Anyway, this is an episode of a first. The parallel universe concept explored somewhat in here, but certainly the dangers of why the two are not supposed to cross over like that. Oh, there you go. Thank you for watching and listening. Say, why not like and subscribe, and check out that link description below. That'll take you to my mini stores that have plenty of goodies for you, most notably my comic book Night Night over at indieplanet.com. You can also catch my podcast, Mr Nailsin Show, over at radiomisfits.com, and you can also watch videos like these over at BitChute.